Hello, everyone, and welcome back to That Eurovision Side, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. We are still going through some of the national finals we saw this year for the Eurovision Song Contest. It's now time for the Norwegian Melodi Grand Prix, and I have a guest with me, and we're going to be talking about the show, the songs, and how we think Norway will do this year. So I think we should start by talking a little bit about the show in general. Johan, what did you think of the show that NRK put on this year?
Well, I think they have done better, if I can say it in that way, NRK.
Yeah.
But of course, it wasn't a bad show, but I think they could have done better. But I like the fact that they moved the final to Lillehammer, and not only like hosting it in Oslo and Trondheim like earlier. And then I also know like people have reacted that there was some microphone troubles during the show. I don't know because I was watching most of it live, so I haven't heard it later either. But apparently there was some technical trouble and stuff for people watching at home, and of course that makes the show not so good. But in general, an okay show. They have done better.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think I definitely noticed the audio issues. There were a few of the songs where it felt like the mix was wrong, so it sounded like the vocals were just too low compared to the backing track, and that's a shame, of course, because you wanna hear the vocals, you wanna hear the full song, right? So I think I agree. I think it was a decent show. I think some of the stagings were actually really cool. I think there were some creative choices this year, and I'm sure we'll get into some of those as well in a second. But I think I think it helps that I understood the show as well because there were definitely some elements of humor and some very dry Scandinavian humor that I think you have to be from here to understand it and to find it funny. But like I kind of want to know like what's the general feel of MGP as it stands right now in like the Norwegian public.
Well, the final this year was actually being watched by, I think it was approximately like 250,000 people less than last year. So that says something about how people are thinking of MGP. And we also know the situation down in Israel, etc., also has something to do with people not watching. Uh, but in general, in Norway, I think sadly people are looking at MGP as a kind of circus show. I'm not sure if that's the right term to say, but like, yeah, there could be more hype. And me personally, of course, I really wish that Tarjei, the MGP boss, is looking over to our neighbors in Sweden and also down south Denmark to like see how a final can be and how you can actually make a lot of people actually come to the show and watch the show. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. As a Dane, it's something that I can relate to. We've been in this situation with Dansk Melodi Grand Prix for some years, and I think to some extent it still is there. Like I think we have that as well, where it's like, it's not seen as a serious music competition, and for many viewers, it's seen as something that you laugh at, and it's something that I guess you can say hate watch. I definitely know a lot of Danish people who do the same, both with Melodi Grand Prix and with Eurovision. So I get where that's coming from. I think it's interesting because Norway has done substantially better than Denmark have in the last couple of years at Eurovision. So it's interesting that the hype that some of the songs have had, someone like Alexandra, or the hype that's been around Kano for many years, like it's weird that that hasn't really translated into something more mainstream, but it's difficult with these kinds of shows, I guess we can say. Let's talk a little bit about the songs, because we had not necessarily the biggest variety of songs and sounds this year. Were there any songs that stood out more for you than the others?
Yeah, of course, Jonas, of course, sort of stood out for me, and the winning song. Also, a lot. I have to admit, Jonas with Ya 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 was not on the top of my list when the studio version came. But his stage presence and how he's on stage just was like, wow, yeah, of course this song is good. You make it good. Um, but before the show, Emma with Northern Lights and also Storm with Lullaby. Those two were my two favorites from the pre-qualified songs. And then there was some songs in the MGP Cup that I really wish was pre-qualified.
Yeah, I definitely have one there that I was going to mention as well. That's Emmy, of course, who
Mm.
represented Ireland last year. Her song was definitely one of my favorites and one of the ones that I've been listening to the most from the roster in general. And I think the dual system and the MGP Cup, whatever, it didn't work. I think if they were gonna do something, bring back the semifinals because I did like those, and I thought there were a lot of great songs. I especially liked it when they did it with the different regions. So there was the northern artist and the southern artist and all that. That was fun. That was one of the times when I really enjoyed watching MGP. I think this system didn't really work, but yeah, I think definitely Jonas is the one, and we're gonna talk about it in a second how we think the song will do. But it stood out because in a field of vocals that didn't sound too great, songs that didn't land, songs that were good in the vacuum of MGP, but wouldn't really do much outside of MGP. I think this one just stood out by being a professional performance, and I think that's what people were longing for. Like this one came through on the screens, came through to the juries, so it makes sense that that's the one you voted for because it made an impact where some of the others, even some of the favorites like Emma that you mentioned, she didn't have that impact. She felt very nervous and she didn't feel like she was ready for this. She was also sick during the week, of course. I'm sure that did something to it as well. But it felt like that wasn't her moment, that wasn't her time. I hope she comes back at some point because I think she's fantastic. And I think she can win MGP and get a good result at Eurovision as well. But one song that I do want to give an honorable mention as well, that's Milo and Frankenstein. That was my favorite going into it, and I really liked the live performance as well. I think he sounded decent, and I think the staging worked. The visual storytelling in that really worked, and I especially like the shot that they have towards the beginning when he's inside that, like, I guess the coffin. I guess that's kind of like what it's supposed to look like. He's inside that, and they have the camera inside of it, and he's singing, laying down. I think that was a really cool thing, and I think I was a little surprised that he didn't get into top three. I don't think he did, because I feel like that was one of the better performance. But maybe you can shine a little bit of a light on why that didn't really click with the Norwegians in the same way that it might have clicked for me.
Yeah, Milo did a great performance. He really did, and I liked the performance as well. And then, of course, when he competed in MGP last time, he split the people with his song. But he still has a huge fan group in Norway and a lot of fans. But why didn't go into like the top three? It's hard to say, but like in Norway, we often see in the finals that there is always like one or two songs that people like just come together to vote on. And then of course, that was this year. It was Rybak because it is Rybak, and so many people, especially maybe those who are like 30 years or older, were like, "Oh yes, it's finally back. The Eurovision King is back." And then you had Jonas because Jonas did one heck of a show in the live performance, and therefore, and also, it has to be mentioned that in MGP you only get one vote. Every person only get one vote, so therefore you have to like choose between which one do you like the most yourself, which one do you want to see in Eurovision, which one has the most potential in Eurovision. I don't know if everyone is as analytic on it as me, but I think that might be a reason as well because everyone only gets one vote.
That makes sense. I can see some people trying to be strategic about it and say, well, if we only have one vote, it's important to put that towards the one that you think has the biggest potential. Whereas our system, for example, you get 3 votes. I think this year it was 3 votes per artist. So it's like you can spread it out a little bit more and like, oh, I'm gonna give 3 to this because it's my favorite, but I'm gonna give 2 votes to this one because I like that as well. And maybe that's like, being everyone's second or third favorite, that just doesn't really help you much in the current MGP voting system. So I think you probably have a good point there. That's interesting to think about. It's also interesting that we've gone this far, and you mentioned Rybak there, of course, but it's like there was a lot of talk about it before he participated, and everyone was like eagerly awaiting like what's he gonna bring. Is he gonna bring something that can win again? Like what do you think went wrong this time that made this song not be the one that went to Eurovision? Because I think a lot of people thought in the beginning that this was just a shoe and like he was gonna win no matter what.
I don't think anything went wrong. I just think that Jonas had a better song and a way better staging, or the staging of Rybak was really good. It was better than I expected, and I liked the staging. And the song grew on me when I saw it on the stage. But both Jonas and Alexander are great performances, and they are born to be on the stage. And I don't think anything went wrong actually for Rybak, and I think he should be happy with a second place. When you see the reactions when it was announced that he was coming back, and of course, when you come back and your name is Alexander Rybak and you won Eurovision with Fairytale and 387 points, people expect something big. And people also have in mind when he came back in 2018 with That's How You Write a Song, and people were so disappointed because you can do better than this. And this song, Rise, was not Fairytale either. So therefore, it's like, oh, it's not Fairytale. So yeah, but I really don't think something went wrong. I think he should be happy with the second place, and he said he was happy with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think also he's also talked about that this was also something for him to promote his album and get back into the public eye. And I think if that was what he wanted out of it, I think he has probably gained that, and there will be some people who will go in and check out the album afterwards. So either way, he's gotten something out of it, and we might see him back someday again. I think he is in it for the love of the game, and maybe he could return.
And we can also say, like, of course, he's doing it to promote his album. And when his album is called Fairytale 2, of course, you understand it. So, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and nostalgia is always a very popular thing. So I can imagine that you can gain some followers and listeners through that. So that makes sense. But I think finally here we should talk a little bit about Jonas and a little bit about Yeah Yeah Yeah, because how do we think this is gonna do at Eurovision? Because I'm a little bit unsure how well this is gonna do. So I'm gonna ask you first. How do you think that this will do at Eurovision in Vienna?
I'm a little bit nervous myself. Not because I don't think personally that it will succeed in Eurovision, because I really do think he will do good. But I get why people might think. I've seen people say it's a non-qualifier. I've seen people say it's a mid-table finish. I've seen people say, "Oh, this is a top five." Um, uh, but I think, like, last time I checked the odds, it was like 17th place or something, but it's a day or two since I checked. So around 15th to 20th place right now on the odds. Um, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the studio version isn't punching and getting into the people's brain the same way as when he's on stage, because Jonas's presence on stage and his way of entertaining and engaging with both the audience and the people watching back home is exceptional. He knows exactly what to do. He knows exactly how to look into the camera. He knows exactly how to dance and everything, because he's a live performer. So I think, if, say, the odds when we come to the Eurovision week still is like 15th place or so, I think Jonas easily can get a top 10 placement because his presence on stage is so big.
Interesting. I think like I definitely think it's an advantage that the juries are back in the semifinals because I think they will see the professional in this. They will see the performance as it is, and they will like that. I think you're totally right. I definitely like the performance more than I like the song. It's not one of the songs that I have on my playlist. It's not one of those that I go and listen to. So when I've ranked the songs and I've looked at my ranking, I've definitely placed it lower based on the song itself. But I think you're totally right. It is one of the songs that comes alive during the live show. And I think I'm not so sure about how it will do in the final. We'll see about that, but I do think it can qualify because I think it'll do good with the juries, and I think there will be enough people picking up the phone for it because they will be surprised by it, especially if you haven't seen the live performances, if you've only heard the songs, and the first time you're gonna see it live, that's going to be in the semifinal. It'll surprise people in the same way that it surprised the Norwegian people, and I think you could get some of that same effect, especially if they tweak a little bit in the performance. I think there are some awkward camera angles, but there's plenty of time to fix that, of course. But let's hope for the best. I mean, we are looking at a year where we could potentially get all the Scandinavians into the final, and I would love to see that. We haven't had that in a long time. Of course, we're missing Iceland this year. We miss you guys. We would love to have a full Nordic sweep at Eurovision, but we're gonna get close. I think so, and that would be really great to see. But I think that's all we're gonna talk about today. Do you have anything that you want to add here in the end? And maybe you can also plug your own media a little bit.
Yeah, no, pleasure being here. Thank you for having me here, first of all. And yeah, it could go anywhere, but I have a feeling, I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that in 2027 we're going to be in a Scandinavian country. I really do. I won't say which country, but I think we will be in Scandinavia next year, which would be great for us. So easier to travel.
Exactly,
um,
exactly.
yeah. And I would also like to say with Jonas, and not to compare those two too much, but I want to compare them a little bit to Lorraine and with the tattoo, because they are quite similar in the way they perform. Because Lorraine has been very open, like she gets her energy from the audience, and she likes feel the energy from the audience, and that's filter her up and make her perform. Jonas is quite the same when it comes to that. He really relies on the audience giving him energy to perform. And we saw that in MGP final when he was on the small stage outside of the main stage. He was like engaging with the audience, giving high fives and stuff. If we can do something similar to that in Vienna, it will boost. But he's relying on the energy from the audience. I really think. And of course, we will follow Jonas through the month now until Eurovision, and follow him on his journey to Vienna. And I'm from Eurovision Norway, so if you want to follow and watch what happens in Norway and MGP, just follow Eurovision Norway on all social medias.
Yes, perfect. And feel free to do so. We will link some of that in the description. There's, of course, also in the description a link to all of our socials in case you aren't following that Eurovision site yet. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, check out our website for all the latest Eurovision news. And we're getting, pre-party season is coming up. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up. Johan, thank you so much for participating today. Thank you to everyone watching, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.